All right, welcome back to the Entrepreneur to Entrepreneur Shift the Culture podcast. My brother Jay Isaacs is here. I am here. I name Greg. Gregory
Blessings.
Anthony Corley the second. That's me. I know I don't usually call my name when I start these shows. A lot of people probably wouldn't even know if they're not consistent listeners. They wouldn't know my name at all because I usually don't say it, but that's my name. And we are here to discuss a topic that may mash some corns, that may make some people feel some type of way. And we're going to be talking about sensitive people that want to be entrepreneurs. So the title was Why So Sensitive? The famous Why So Serious from the Joker. Wanted to put a little play on that and ask why so sensitive. And we have a lot of sensitive people in the Bahamas, but a lot of them want to get into entrepreneurship and business. And so we're going to talk about the difficulties you're going to face if you are indeed a sensitive person. Hey, Dakota hailing us up, say she reached back. I don't know where she been, but she says she back. Victoria says, hello, Victoria. And Denise was just commenting. Denise Bethel Bastian says, hi, I have a grandson who started his own gym out his car. Wolf Fitness. Awesome. Congratulations. Nice. Sounds interesting. Starts a gym out of the car. That sounds very interesting. We'd love to hear your story, Denise. So if you don't mind, we could have you on the show if you want to come and talk about it, or have your grandson. You said it's your grandson. Yes, your grandson. If you want to have him on the show, reach out to us. We'd love to have him to hear that story, because I'd like to know, how do you go from your car to a gym? So please reach out.
Just working out on the beach or something like that, dog.
Yeah,
you have equipment.
Should be an interesting story. So go ahead and reach out to us, Denise. We'd love to have him or both of you on the show so we could discuss that. We want to highlight people that are getting out there and doing what they can with what they have. That's what this is all about, inspiring, motivating those people to get up, get out, and do something instead of sitting home and complaining all day. And so, Mr. Isaacs.
Yes, sir.
Sensitive people. Now, I know you're running to them every day. You out and about just about as much or even more than I am. Tell me your thoughts on whether you can be a sensitive entrepreneur or not.
I think entrepreneurship has no room for sensitive people, or if you are sensitive, you will learn quickly or you will grow a thick skin quickly, because especially in the Bahamas, where people are heavily critical, whether you do the right thing or you do the wrong thing. And in entrepreneurship, there's no such thing as perfect. There's always a process of growth. There's always a process of evolution. So you will make mistakes, and I have made mistakes, and I've had people that are heavily critical of me, but at the end of the day, I look at it as a critique. I take the good and I apply it to myself. I block out the bad. That's nonsense. And I think a lot of people need to learn that. But unfortunately, Bahamians, for some reason, not just Bahamians, I mean, I don't generalize, people that are sensitive tend not to make it because they fold up.
Mm-hmm.
So if you are, I would think wisely before I put my egg in the entrepreneurial basket, even though it seems like it's the quote unquote fad because of successful people like Gary Vee and other social media influencers that are making hundreds of thousands, millions off this entrepreneurial boom.
Very interesting. And I agree with you. You can. If you start out sensitive, doesn't mean that you have to remain sensitive. Mm-hmm. And I think what would keep you from getting too sensitive is if you always have a broader perspective. If you always keep your focus on the bigger picture, then you won't allow yourself to get caught up in the small things that happen that could easily deter you or throw you off your path. And I think that's what happens a lot of times, especially in this country. A lot of people tend to be very myopic. And they're very short-sighted, and they live in the moment. It's almost like there's no tomorrow, there's no next week, there's no next year. A lot of people tend to live right for here, for now. And this is why a lot of the small things tend to bother them so often. And it's a process, and I won't lie, I wasn't always the way I am now. It's a process, and it takes, different lengths of time for different people. And It's been a journey for me to get to this point of where I must say, at this point, I almost don't care almost about nothing at this point. Very, very little could bother me to the point to where it would throw me off. Matter of fact, I don't think nothing could throw me off my path outside of like health issues. I don't think anything is going to throw me off of my path or my ultimate goal or what I'm trying to do in the long haul. Anything. it has to be some health issue or something like that. But in terms of what someone else does, there's no way that I'm going to allow anything to stop me, especially when it comes to just talking. It's amazing the things that people allow get to them. As simple as someone saying something about them. You know what I mean? Like small little chatter, they allow to throw them off their game. And I never understood that.
Yeah, for me, I would say it used to be miscalculations because I'm one of those persons that look at the bigger picture, talking about like 10, 15, 20 steps ahead. So if I take a misstep, what I learned to do is to always have the plan B, the plan C, and kind of think on your feet. A lot of people get caught up.
Now, when you say, you got to be careful, Najee. When you say the plan B, the plan C, now, you know, we tend to think the plan B means, okay, we move on to something else, or you have, in case it doesn't work. Like, elaborate on what you mean by plan C. I mean, plan B.
For me, whenever I start the new year, I take January to plan out my entire year. So I know what I want to be doing in February. I know what I want to be doing in June. I know what I want to be doing by the time as November rolls around. So if I fall short on a plan or I take a misstep, I then have to think on my feet to recalibrate my current position to get to the destination that I want. So I do that, but I don't quit on the overall project. I just make changes to the current plan. I think a lot of people need to learn how to think on their feet and not to defeat themselves, because a lot of times people are heavily critical of themselves and their physical state of sensitivity, they beat down themselves. It's not the outside world, it's themselves.
Yeah.
A lot of times.
Okay, good. And I'm glad that you clarified because, you know, like I said, a lot of people, when they hear plan B, that means, well, okay, this maybe wasn't meant to be. Let me move on to something else. So you mean if things don't work out exactly the way you planned it, you have other ways, like the destination is the same, but you just have to adjust your strategy.
Exactly. Like, I have other things to fall short until I get to where I need to get.
Right. And I think that's another thing that deters a lot of people is a lot of people feel like this thing is just linear, like it's just one straight road. If you do this, do that, then everything is supposed to happen just like this. But they don't understand. Listen, the things that get thrown at you, the obstacles, the changes, just life happening. You have to make so many adjustments, but you always have to keep the bigger picture in mind and keep heading towards that destination. You may be set back and you may have to stop this day, or you may have to take another road. You may have to go down this path. But as long as you're working towards the same destination, you would be all right. And I think that's where a lot of people get deterred and they just want to stop because they didn't plan for these things to happen and they don't know how to react to it. So a lot of it, knowing how to react in those situations.
Also, a lot of people with sensitivity, a lot of people are very exposed to the struggling part of entrepreneurship, right? They think it's all plums and peaches, and they don't calculate for the slow periods, right? So they allow that miscalculation to cause them to fold up, and then when they do, they see someone comes right in and takes advantage of a boom. 2, 3, 4, 5 weeks later, maybe a year later.
Now let's talk about that. Now, slow periods. Now you all know how I feel about slow periods. I don't believe in slow periods.
You don't believe in slow? Well, it all depends. It depends on the industry that you're in. For me in photography and video and media, there are slow periods. In my slow periods, I use them to plan out productions so I could say next season this time, I have something to fill that gap. So it's a reflective time for me. And then I just go to eating my sandwich meats and slam bomb or whatever the case would be to get through until I get back to my peak. You know, no, I think every industry have their little nuances, as you like to say. So you just have to know how to take advantage of it.
Right, and I understand what you mean. I agree with you. Like it all depends on the industry because if you sell Christmas trees, I mean, you're not gonna.
You better grow them. You better grow them trees.
You know what I mean?
Or grow something else.
Right. But that's my entire thing. And the reason why I say I don't really believe in slow periods is because I believe in making adjustments so that you can compensate for what used to be typically slow periods. You have to do things because early on in my business, I used to fall for that because, that's a mentality thing as well. People being, well, it's a slow time, that everybody go through it or whatever. And you start to accept that. And if you accept that, then you indeed will have slow period because you already, well, that's what it is. Ain't nothing I could do. And I think that's what slow periods bring about, that mentality that, well, ain't nothing I could do because this is just a slow period. And I had that early on until I made a change to the new mentality that I now have, which is there's no such thing as a slow period. If sales are slow, then that means I have to do more or get more creative or do some things that are going to generate sales throughout that period. You know what I mean? And that's why I say I don't believe in slow periods. Slow periods only exist if you accept them.
This is true. Depends on the industry.
Yeah. That's why you would never see me with a Christmas tree selling business. That's not. I like Kevin O'Leary from Shark Tank. I don't like seasonal businesses. Yeah. I don't like seasonal businesses. I want to be able to generate money all throughout the year, no matter what time it is. So I'm not a fan of seasonal businesses. Denise Beth says, "Oh, sorry, no, hold that thought. Let me just read because she wants to know how." She says she lives in Florida. But can you send his contact or he can reach out to you? He has a story that should be heard. Well, Denise, what you can do is just go right ahead and like the page if you haven't already. Like the page that you're actually watching the stream on right now, which is the Entrepreneur to Entrepreneur page on Facebook, and send us a message. And I guess we can contact, stay in communication from there. So just send us a message to the page and we can go from there, Denise. But go ahead, Jay, sorry.
No, what I was saying is, if you do have a slow period, sometimes, depending on your industry, you may look at that and take advantage to reflect and figure out how you fill that industry with revenue. Or you could look at it and say, you know what, I will not have this downtime when my busy season picks up. Let me take a break and either spend time with the family or go and do something personal to kind of feed your spirit. So when you dive in, you're not complaining like, I don't do anything, I don't have any downtime or whatever the case may be. So again, it's just how you use it and how you look at it.
Most definitely. Now let's talk about those sensitive people that can't take criticism, Jay. These people. And this especially happens. I tend to see it. Well, it happens a lot in the Bahamas in general, which is interesting. But particularly when it comes to creatives.
Right.
Your artists, your makeup artists, your hairstylists, like anything where it comes to creativity, these people tend, because we know artists are creative and they are sensitive. They tend to be sensitive, and Erykah Badu told us, what I mean? So what do you feel about creatives and their sensitivity when they are also entrepreneurs?
Well, they have to get over it because you're putting out yourself and your product to a public domain, so you're looking to be judged. You're wanting to cash in on that judgment. So the same way you're looking to cash in, you still have to listen to your audience and make the necessary adjustments to take advantage of the situation. The fact that people are paying attention to you enough to send you critique, that means you're reaching your target audience.
Big point.
That means you're reaching your target audience. Now you have to make the adjustment to make it acceptable to them so they cash in. A lot of Bohemian artists, especially musicians, have this thing that like they know it all. They're perfect in their craft. When they need to hone their skills to take themselves to the next level, to get off of this rock, right? So for me, especially with artists, if you're not reaching if every artist needs to look at an international audience, and if you're not hitting that, you're a failure, right? So when people come at you with a critique, they're probably seeing the international potential in you. Yeah, I'm talking about musically.
Because we got to make that distinction because we have various types of artists.
Yeah, I think when people come at you with critiques, they're looking at, okay, you may have an international potential, but you're not mining that potential and exporting that potential because you're putting yourself in a box. Some of the great people that I look up to and I appreciate what they're doing, the members of Trilogy, all of them, they've taken their platform to another level. It's appreciated globally. They're pretty much one Google away. And their brand is very strong, and that should be emulated by everybody else. You know what I mean? We have so many great examples to look up to in the different disciplines, and I don't understand how it's not been. What's the word I'm looking for? I guess duplicated for another thing, because people are just they accept mediocrity and too sensitive.
and you started to hit on a very serious point, which is, like, for example, if you are too sensitive to the point to where your customers don't want to give you feedback because they know how sensitive you are, then you create monsters like me. Like me, I can admit I am a terrible customer. Here's why. Not that I'm gonna,
You're a terrible customer.
Yeah, not that I'm not gonna pay, not in those regards. I mean, I'm a terrible customer in that if I have a bad experience with your business, I won't say a word. I'm not gonna say anything to you. I'm just not gonna come back to your business and support it. That is the worst kind of customer you can have. The silent, yes, the silent customer is the worst customer you can have. You should, like you said earlier, you should appreciate that they even took the time to let you know about the things that they weren't happy with, or they were displeased with, or things they don't like. You should appreciate customers that are vocal and tell you exactly how they feel about your service or whatever it is you're offering, right? Because they are actually helping you. If nobody says anything to you, you go along thinking, like you said, you know everything is all good, everything is perfect, where they go in and telling people, listen, don't go there, don't support this is terrible, this is bad. So you thinking you're doing well, but you wondering why you ain't getting no business. And I see this all the time. I don't know if you watch Kitchen Nightmares, I think it is, with Chef Gordon Ramsay, but he goes around to these.
There's another show?
This boy got must be about 400,000 shows. He got shows all over the place, but I don't know how he does it. But the show is essentially he goes around to these failing restaurants and does an assessment, sees why they're failing, tells them about it.
I've seen that.
Okay, well, he tells them about it and tries to fix it. And I am so amazed at how many of the owners try to fight him and push back and try to tell him he is wrong, and no, the customer is wrong. They don't know what they're talking about. Like, they fight it. You know what I mean?
Denial is a deadly thing.
But they are wondering why they ain't making no money, why this restaurant's empty. In their heads, they putting out the perfect food, everything is perfect about what they're making, but your store's empty. And that's when you're too sensitive. He trying to tell you, your customer's trying to tell you, but you don't want to hear it because of your little ego.
Yeah, that's a creative community. Ego is huge. Productivity is and what in certain instances we have instances of excellence, but it's not enough. For the amount of talent that we actually do have here, it's not enough.
Yeah, I agree. And like I said, it just reminds me, you just got to get about your own feelings, man. Just get some self-esteem, some security. Just change your perspective on it. Because I think what they tend to go to is they think, oh, this person just hating on me, or they don't know what they're talking about. Exactly. As opposed to, does this person have a point? You know what I mean? Now, I won't lie. You do have some customers that are just being difficult for being difficult's sake, right?
Exactly. Or they're looking for something free.
Right. Exactly. That's good point. They're looking for something free. I'm not saying that those people don't exist, but you have to be in a place to where you can decipher. You can tell the difference. You know what I mean? Yeah, you can discern which is what. You understand? Is this person being unreasonable, or is this person just hating? But if you're getting your feelings from the beginning, you ain't gonna be able to tell the difference.
Exactly. You're already going from a defensive standpoint. You're not
right.
Yeah. Right. Allow your product, allow your service, allow your art to be deconstructed and taken apart, because it will benefit you later.
Most definitely. And that you gotta understand, you're putting this out for public consumption. If you don't want to deal with criticism or feedback, then
don't
keep
go
it to
into
yourself.
business. Don't go into business.
Make music for yourself in your room, or cook for yourself in your house. Don't open a business with this thing if you are not ready and willing to take the backlash or criticism or what you may consider to be negative feedback that may come along with it, because that's a part of the business. That's a part of the game. You have
That's
to
a part of
convince.
the process.
Yes, and that's one of the most important parts of the process because that's how you get better. It's the only way
Exactly.
you can get better. Because a lot of times people see what we don't. You know what I mean? We get locked in our own perspective a lot of times, and we need someone else to tell us, well, hey, look, you need to look at this, or maybe you need to change this, or I didn't appreciate this, or we just got to get out of our own perspective sometimes and embrace that feedback. Because, like I say, you don't want to end up with a customer like me who ain't gonna tell you, but I'll tell anybody else I hear talk about your business, and that could cost you money and business.
And
So,
don't ever turn your nose down to the common man's view. I think a lot of entrepreneurs who are quote unquote elitists, they tend to look down on common view to say that, oh, disqualify them. They don't know what they're talking about. They may not know how to articulate themselves at the level that you are, but they are customers, they're consumers. They know what they want in a particular product. They know how it should sound. They know how it should look. They know how it should feel, and it should operate. So you should at least look at that. And again, you have to have a spirit of discernment. Not everything is going to be sensible, but there is some merit in everything.
and that's a awesome point. I completely agree with that. And we see that all too often where people discredit the customer. And that's one of the worst things you can do. Because who you making it for? And
The customer.
that's so how
You go buy your own product?
that's what I'm saying. How
I
can
know
you
that.
discredit the very people that are patronizing your business, or you hope to be patronizing your business? And I see it a lot in music, where these executives and these people putting out the music, they want to discredit people that criticize them. Oh, how could you tell me you don't know how to make a song? You don't know this. Well, I buy the song. I don't have to know how to make a song. This is why I spending my money on your music, because I paying you to make it. And if I don't like it, I have a right to let you know that I don't like it. You can't tell me because I don't know how to make music, I cannot criticize your music. So only musicians should criticize musicians?
And that's why the industry, especially the non-traditional industry, hasn't moved anywhere. You have too many artists critiquing quote unquote artists and not enough consumers.
And
That's why the music ain't moving.
And when the consumers do critique, then as a whole, oh, y'all just hating, y'all don't appreciate, y'all don't support Bohemian, y'all need to support Bohemian, this and that. And I hate that. Listen, I ain't gonna support you just because you Bohemian. I can tell you right now, don't look for my support simply because you Bohemian. Now, if you're putting out a product or a service that I can use and that's good, then I can support you. And the fact that you Bohemian is a bonus, but that is not the main course.
Yeah, it should always be quality.
It's all about quality, buddy. And I think that's what happens is they get this sense of entitlement to, oh, because I am a Bohemian, you should support me first. No, you got to do the work, just like whoever I was going to give my money to, whoever your competition is, you got to do the work that they did to get themselves in a position to where they were the first thing to come to my mind when I wanted whatever they offering. You don't just get that because you Bohemian. You got to put in the work.
Yeah. And the sensitivity as well is doesn't only come with the product, but how you push your product as well. A lot of people think that they have these marketing expertise, but trust me, you have to find different innovative ways. I mean, not everything is going to work for everybody in every single industry, but you can't be as closed-minded. So when someone may come to you and give you an idea, it might not work in the way that they present the idea, but look at a way that you could tweak it to make it work for your product and your industry. Because
definitely.
the problem I find with a lot of people, they try and push content and services and products the same way, so no one's standing out, especially in this country. And what a lot of people have to look at, a lot of products that have the head start is because they were innovative in the way they pushed their product. They stood out from the crowd. So that's another thing where people are a bit too sensitive. Don't tell me how to sell my things.
Okay then.
What do you think you is?
Yeah, don't. All right, don't let me tell you then. I don't know who else could tell you if me or other customers ain't tell you. I don't. Who else you want to tell you then? You only want to listen to yourself. That's it.
Yeah, exactly.
Don't make no sense. And I think this is why we have a lot of businesses that fail in this country. among other things, you know what I mean? But I think this is one of the things that contributes to the failure of many businesses in this country, because I see it all the time. And I mean, you could just drive around town and see how much for rent signs up and how much businesses closing down each and every day, failing to make those adjustments and take the customer feedback and apply it in a way to where they still, maintaining their integrity or their mission as a company, but still taking into consideration what the customers are saying, because you are providing the service for them or the products for them. So, I mean, it's ludicrous for you to say, well, I'm just going to discount them. I know what I'm doing. I've been doing this for 20 years. I know what I'm doing. They can't tell me how to run my business. Take that into consideration, especially and artists. Well, yeah, Jay, you know how I feel about artists. I don't even deal with them no more, to be honest with you.
I'm in the business, bro. Trust me, I get it every single day. But one thing I do about my crop of artists, they're open to listen. They're open to try. That's what I like about my crop.
Well, that's good. And I think that's something, if you're looking to get into a lot, especially when it comes to music, you better take that into consideration, because, boy, you will have a lot of stress and hell on your hands if you have some needy, sensitive artists that
trust me, you should see the gray in my hair, boy.
I know it was coming. When I hear you was going into music, I was like, hey, well, if that's what you want to do, boss, I ain't gonna discourage you. But I can tell you, it wouldn't be me. It ain't gonna be me. I know what it is to deal with some sensitive people, buddy. And then you gotta have thick skin in this industry. And it's not just music, but entrepreneurship on the whole. I mean, especially when you're dealing with, I think music is probably easier, because you have delayed feedback a lot of times. Your stuff don't come out right away, and you don't get all the feedback. But if you're in an actual business, like you selling some kind of product, some kind of food, I mean, that's instant.
It's instantaneous.
You know what I mean? So you can imagine if you had a barrage of negative comments dealing with, a business like that, you got to be thick-skinned, man. And you always got to tell yourself, okay, the customer isn't trying to be negative or trying to hate on me. They are trying to help me. Always look at it from that perspective. And then you can kind of discern whether they are or whether they are just being difficult and looking for something free, as you said earlier. But you have to go into it with the mindset that this is going to help me. You understand?
Exactly.
That's what this is for. Let me read this comment before we wrap up. Elisa Renee, that's your good buddy, Jay.
Yeah, man. She's a huge supporter of Bohemian music.
Yeah, for sure. Big up to Elisa. Is that I pronouncing it right? Elisa. Alyssa Renee, I have to like your product in order for me to support you. I have to like your music for me to share it. And just because I like you as a person doesn't mean I'm going to like your sound or product. And listen, I second Alyssa's sentiments. That's exactly how I feel. You may be a wonderful person. However, if the product or service does not meet my needs or expectations, then I shall take my money elsewhere. I don't have to spend my money with you. I'm not obligated with you. And like I say, you're still a nice person if you were a nice person before, but the product or service that I was looking for, it just didn't meet my standards. And so that's the reason why I am not supporting your business. It's not that it's a personal vibe with you. I don't have a problem with you.
Everything cool still.
Everything cool still. I mean, with me, now you may choose to have a vibe with me. That's on you. It can take no weight off me either way. You know what I mean?
It's a culture, man.
Yeah, for sure. So I completely agree with that comment by Alyssa. So Jay, we can wrap this one up.
Yeah, man.
We cover it.
This one done.
Yeah, man. We basically cover it. So people, listen, stop being so sensitive. Be strong. If you're gonna be an entrepreneur, if you're a sensitive person and you just get caught up in your feelings and you can't take criticism all too well, then I suggest you not get into entrepreneurship or music or anything where you have to actually put yourself or your product or your service out there for people for open criticism. Don't do it. I would suggest that. Now you may say, hey, well, I could, be myself and still do it. Go right ahead, go try it. But it has been my experience that sensitive people do not do so well when it comes to entrepreneurship, because you're going to get a lot of rejection, you're going to get a lot of negativity, and you're going to have to grit your teeth and bear it and continue to push on with the same amount of enthusiasm as you did when you first started. And that's very difficult to do, especially if you're a sensitive person that takes things to heart. So stop being sensitive. If you want to get into entrepreneurship, if you want to remain sensitive, then don't fool with it. You know what I mean? That's as simple as that. That's my opinion.
Easy.
I'm not saying I'm absolutely correct, but that has been my experience. That's what I've witnessed. And I think Jay would say the same. That's just been
Exact
my
same.
experience. So I ain't saying I'm the all-knowing guru and I know everything, but I would suggest you leave your sensitivity at the door if you're looking to get into entrepreneurship. So on that note, thank you people for tuning in. Nadia, say bye. Jay, bye. Greg, bye. Nadia. We ain't going yet. Bye. But we're going to end the show as we end every show with losers make excuses and winners make adjustments. And that's the very mentality we want you guys to move forward with. Stop being sensitive and always look for the adjustments that you need to make so that you can continue to improve your business or whatever venture it is that you choose to take on in life. That's our advice. You don't have to take it, but we can tell you it anyhow. And we appreciate you guys for tuning in. Once again, go ahead and share the video. If you thought we gave out some great information today, go ahead and hit that share button. For those that want to follow the audio that can't watch the show, we're on SoundCloud. You can find us on SoundCloud, W2E STC podcast on SoundCloud. Also on YouTube, the videos are uploaded to YouTube at a later date. So just search for the W2E STC podcast on YouTube. Subscribe and continue to support, continue to follow, continue to be strong and not sensitive. We appreciate it. Until next time, peace.
That's all right.